from New York and on the new Hot 97 app. Ebro in the morning on Hot 97.
In the best rap album category, we've been talking about it a lot on this program, how awesome it is to have so many diverse sounds of hip-hop in the category.
Right.
For yourself as an artist and somebody that's been a fan of hip-hop, how does that make you feel to just be a part of this year, the 60th anniversary of hip-hop being represented so well at the Grammys?
Man, excited, honored. You take the moment to just relish in all the hard work it took for you to get here. And, just to represent for women, like one of 5 women to ever be nominated for this award with rap album.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah, one of 5. Only one has won it, and that was Lauren and with the Fugees' A Score. She's the only woman to ever win. So, it just feels like an accomplishment to represent for women. But, win or lose, you already won because overall, this is just a celebration of great music. I was talking with Naif about this yesterday. I said it's dope that you can have Jay-Z, who's 40 plus, still doing it, Kendrick, Migos, myself, and Tyler, and we're all crazy different, but we all represent different, styles of hip hop, and that's beautiful to me. I'm like, whoever wins, you can't be mad because there's something for everybody.
When you see a category that's that stacked, do you right away go, does it almost take away any pressure to win, and you just go, this is all the win, and if somehow you win, it's bonus? Is that how you view it?
Man, I look at it, you're in there, so you got a shot. You got a 20% shot.
I mean, you already won just being nominated, though.
Yeah, no, that's how
I mean.
I was talking. Missy gave me advice. She was like, yo, I'm so proud of you, but, like, if you don't win, you've already won.
Yes.
Just to even make it that far. So that's dope. But I mean, it's Jay and Kendrick at the same time. So
look, they might cancel each other out,
You
and then Rapsody runs through it. You're on that stage.
That was definitely our theory. Remember, like they might just cancel each other out.
Well, and then of course, ironic. I guess not ironically, but you're also included in a nomination for you had a nomination for To Pimp a Butterfly. With Kendrick, which is sort of the beginning of your trajectory.
Yeah.
Going up a level, right?
I turned the corner with that album, like for sure. After that album came out, I got the Dr. Dre co-sign, and then you had the Jam the Rock Nation deal, and the album comes out, and now we're Grammy nominated. So, yeah, I didn't win with Kendrick though, but it's okay.
Should have.
Well, a lot of the Grammys, for the audience listening, don't quite understand how it works, right? There's like 14,000 members. There's 84 categories. It's peers voting for other peers. Like It's very much like a music industry event of kind of like the Oscars, where you have people who do this voting for. Are you you're a voting member?
I am. When I was nominated for To Pimp, I became a voting member.
And so you voted this year.
I voted for myself.
As you should. As you should. Do you still feel like it's a popularity contest, or because it's your peers, do you feel like it's a little bit more fair?
I think we're going in the right direction. Before this year, I felt like a lot of it was popularity and name recognition. But, I've seen, even in just looking at the people that are nominated this year, that the Grammys have taken strides to not make it only that, like to really make it about the music. So, that's exciting because,
they have like committees now, right? Like they just started like a rap committee inside the Grammys.
It's not
to
just rap. It's rap, it's R&B.
Every category,
Every
right?
category
Genre.
has a committee of influencers and just people who are of the culture and know about country, who live country, know about hip-hop, because everybody don't know it. Sometimes it's like it's just popularity. So, they are there to advise.
What do you say to people, because we live in a country, right, where somebody just won the popular vote but didn't win the presidency, right? There was these electorates that were like, oh, well, she didn't win this section, she didn't win that section, so she's not the actual winner. Most people think things should be just based on popularity. What do you say to people who are like, what do you mean it's not based on popularity?
I mean, if that's what it is, and if that's how you want to do it, then are you happy with the president that we have?
Right.
Because that's all that is popularity. As crazy as the tactics he used, it was because those things kept his name in your face, and kept him popular. That's why I don't say his name. But, just because you're popular doesn't mean you have great music. Like I was talking to somebody about this yesterday. Look at the American Music Awards. Like Eminem is a legend. We know he's one of the best to ever do it. But for him to win an award for music for an album that's not even out yet, Like, that's crazy. You know what I'm saying? So it is just popularity. So that doesn't make it fair for everybody that really works hard to make dope music. Like, why can't the playing field be even? And when it's not about music, the music is not going to be good. Like, people not going to care. It's just like, I could just put out an album, I'm automatically going to get a bid because of who I am. And, you know, that hurts the culture to me. So.
I think that's why those other awards don't mean as much also, because it's getting nominated for a Grammy is tough. Winning a Grammy,
boy,
very hard. And then you have people like Hove who have, what, 20-something?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah.
22 or something?
22,
crazy
21,
number.
like that.
Beyonce has a crazy number, right?
I don't even know.
Beat Dolly Parton now. Like, she's ahead of a lot of people. And that's a massive feat by itself. Do you, now that you've been nominated for a Grammy, does it become easier now? Have you actually talked to people about that? Like, because it seems like once you're kind of on the radar.
It definitely helps, it seems.
Oh, no, without a doubt. Without a doubt. It validates you to a whole nother degree. Like, when I got nominated, I could tell the difference. You know, you see people out, you just tell the difference. It's like, oh, okay. Now I'm able to enter the bubble that I necessarily wasn't in before.
You're in the Illuminati now, as they say. Right? Rhapsody, Illuminati. The world. Internet's going to turn on you now, Rhapsody. It's over.
All right, well, it was fun, Internet.
Rap, tell me about when you first found out you got nominated.
Oh, I was on tour. I was in L.A. It was the second day of tour. And I was actually asleep. It was like 5:30 in the morning. And I heard my phone going off. And I'm like, text message. So the first one I see is 9. And he's like, wow, ... Congratulations, you're 2-time Grammy nominated. And I was stuck. Like, it didn't, I was just groggy. And I was like,
process it.
yeah, it took
Am
a while.
dreaming?
It took me about 2 hours to really process it. And then somebody called. Cause I'm thinking like I'm good, cause like I said, I haven't processed, and they start talking about my journey, and then it all clicked, and the tears started rolling. I'm like, I'm not taking no more calls for the rest of it. And I ain't talking to nobody else. You want to text me, we could text. But it was, it felt good.
Did it take a few days to settle into that? Cause like every artist who cares a lot about their music, they're not all desperate for a Grammy, but the idea of like, wow, Grammy nominated, that's an amazing. Like, did it take a few days to settle in?
It still hadn't hit me all the way that it's real, I don't think. Like, completely. I don't think until Sunday when I'm walking in, it's going to be like, oh, shit. Oh my God.
That's right. Oh my God. That'd be.
Oh my God.
My bad.
Did you count the Kendrick nomination as a nomination for you?
Yeah.
It still felt like.
The difference in that is, I felt like I was a supporting act. That's Kendrick's baby. So I felt like with that one, I was there to support him.
You played a part.
I played a part. But this one is my baby. Like, I carried this one. I labored on this one. Me, Knife, Terrace, Goo. Like, we put our all into this. And that's just the difference in the two. But I still count the Kendrick one.
And it's funny because this album, when it got nominated, I was surprised. I was like, wow.
Yeah,
and one of the
was
reasons I was surprised is because we all talked about it when it came out. It was so deserving. Like, it was so good. The album
musically is. I mean, we're gonna play some records from Layla's Wisdom right now.
It's so complete, though. It's a very complete. And I was taken aback by. I mean, I've literally watched you since you were me. You were just a rapper. Ninth brought with you.
Before Ninth, you was playing Cooley records.
Oh yeah, that's right. I forgot.
We used to play our Cooley records, and like we would be crazy excited. We're like, yo, we got it playing on 97 Peter.
Yeah, so we're talking about like going back 8-9 years.
Yeah.
And then I'd start seeing you rock the bells, and I always thought, I was like, man, it's hard to explain, but you'll know what I mean. Rhapsody's one of those artists you're like, man, she's so dope. It's just, it's a shame because the game is what it is. You know what I mean?
Get
like,
that. No, I get it.
And then to see like, what, Grammy nominated, one of the ones who I thought would get buried because she's too good. She's not selling any BS. It's not about anything except the music.
About sex. It's
Strictly
not about
music.
Looking a certain way or acting a certain way or making a music that fits a certain profile.
Pure artistry, and it's actually being and so positive too, without being preachy. You're not like annoying and like a hashtag conscious rapper.
No, I don't do that.
You're just you.
I want to cover a couple really important topics on Kendrick's "To Pimp a Butterfly." You were on a song called "Complexion."
Yeah.
And there's a debate going on in the reality TV world. I think Love and Hip Hop Miami.
Yeah.
A young lady by the name of Amara La Negra is her name. She's a dark-skinned woman from Dominican Republic. She's Spanish, Afro-Latina, right? And she's an artist. And on the show, they play out a plot line about her seeing all these obstacles because of her complexion, specifically in Latin America, which, you know, we talk about on the show. They didn't have Jim Crow. There's a lot of things they didn't have. So people think in Latin America racism doesn't exist, and she's like, absolutely not. It absolutely does. And because of my complexion, I don't get jobs. I don't get looks. I don't get this. And we talked to Remy about it. She has Remy's new song is
Melanin Magic.
Melanin Magic, which is clearly about, you know, complexion and celebrating that. One, do you feel like the conversation you had on Kendrick's album To Pimp a Butterfly on that song has become more popular since you did that record? Because I know in our world it's kind of always been there, but the mainstream world, I don't know if it kind of feels like it's going mainstream now.
It does. I don't know if it's because of my verse, but or just this climate that we're in, and people just want to talk more. But it's definitely a conversation piece nowadays.
Do you feel? I mean, clearly in the song "Complexion," you talk about, you know, the challenges that you face because of your complexion.
Yeah. Just things I saw, people said, comments, you know, social media, like, you know, I actually felt and saw that in real life. So it's definitely a thing. I'm just trying to think, like, man. Yeah, for me, it always felt like you had to be, you know, of the lighter complexion. Even Kendrick, you know, when he had I think it was a Rolling Stone cover he did, and he has the girl braiding his hair, and, you know, she's light skinned, and people find out that that's his girlfriend, and they go into this, oh, he got a light skinned girlfriend. I'm just like, what does that matter? She black, like light skinned, dark skinned. Why do we have to, you know, cut him down if he dates somebody that's a lighter complexion? He love her. That's all that matters. Why do, you know, females, for you to think they beautiful, why do they have to be a certain complexion? And I think it's the most silly thing ever in life. So it's definitely a conversation piece. And, you know, it's sad that we do it to ourselves. Even talking about, you know, the Gabby Douglas thing, you know, how we talked about her hair. Like, she's a strong black woman representing black women in the Olympics. Yeah. Like, the best of the best. And we ourselves, like, you see a lot of black women that were tearing her down. Not
her
all,
edges, her ponytail, or
so,
this or that. You're like, yo, she doing backflips and sweating, and y'all worried about her edges.
Everything to do with that. Even, like, you know, maybe I should let Remy tell this, but I was talking to Remy last night, having a conversation, and, you know, she's doing a video, but she was like, you know, for one of them, whoever was bringing in the talent for this Melanin Magic video, the first person, she was like, they were bringing a lot of light-skinned girls, and I'm just like, it's called Melanin Magic. We need, like, all shades. And it's just like, you know, I guess people want in videos, they gotta be light-skinned. So complexion is a thing. Even in, like you say, Afro-Latinos, you know, I've always known that was a big thing. In the DR, I want to say they had a big thing where it was like a cleansing. Like, if you weren't of a certain
dictator of the Dominican Republic was basically killing dark-skinned people because he didn't want. This was in the 20th century. This is recent.
Very recent. Like,
killing Haitians because anybody that was dark complected was considered Haitian.
And even in my travels, like, I'm a Latina, and when I've gone to, like, Mexico or Central America, whenever you see any mainstream covers or soap operas, it's always like European standards of beauty.
Right.
Like, most of the time, most people don't know that black people are in Colombia, in Guatemala, in Honduras, because they're never acknowledged or celebrated.
That, and the politicians, the people on TV, the people you see representing those countries internationally are never the black folks or the dark complected folks. It's always the light skinned.
Well, but it just goes to show you that racism has always existed. It's like a human flaw that we cannot get out of our own way on. And even if the entire world was black or the entire world was white, within that, everyone would still find something
to be separated.
We have to be. And then with black people, you have the extra layer,
the plantation layer
of not only is everyone racist, but on top of that, white was in power in so many places and marginalized black. So then there's another layer of within. So it's honestly, it's really upsetting to think about because it's been going on literally forever.
Yeah, right.
You know,
it's good now to have the conversation
and the celebration.
You know? Yeah, and the celebration, and the unity. You know,
right.
When you can bring women of all shapes, colors, men, whoever, together, like it only helps. But without the conversation and the celebration, you know, it stays the same.
It's very interesting right now too because we're living in a time. It's been some time since we've had more than one mainstream rap female.
Yeah.
Right?
It's been
like
a long
right
time.
now at the Grammys, you have 2 nominated.
Right.
Right? When was the last time that happened?
I didn't even think about it.
I'm not sure.
Cardi B and Rapsody. When was the last time?
But before that,
With 2,
Missy
I know
and
Remy,
Kim.
Yeah, I don't.
Remy and Nicki weren't nominated at the same
They
time, right?
weren't. That wasn't last year. I can't remember.
I don't know if Nicki was nominated.
It's been to even have to stop and try to
Right,
think about
exactly.
it.
Yeah.
that's a problem.
And then
with
right
that.
now, so you got Remy, you got Rapsody, you got Nicki, you got Cardi,
Right.
right? And then there's tons of phenomenal women on the way
Coming
up.
Yeah, like Kaylee 47.
Kaylee 47 is incredible.
Dreezy.
By the way, why does every artist we've just named, 6 straight names, end with the sound E?
Rapsody, Nicki, Remy,
Cardi,
Cardi.
Kaylee,
Dreezy.
everyone. 6 for 6. That's very strange.
Thanks for that
You onto
observation.
something.
I don't know. Why is that?
Got to end in a vowel or Y, right?
I just love that you and Cardi represent such different
Yeah.
pieces of the spectrum.
Right. We're polar opposites, but we can coexist together.
Right.
You know, and that's how it should be. Like the guys have been doing it forever. Women used to do it back in the day. Like, you know, like again, talking to Missy, and she was having a conversation with me and Kaylee 47, and just giving us advice. She was like, stick together. Like when we were coming up, you know, we had that sisterhood, and we all had different styles. It was Missy, it was Fox, it was Kim, it was Lauren, you know, and everybody was mad different. Eve, like Charlie Baltimore, you can go down the line, like a bunch of females, but they all were different, but they all supported each other. And it's just like, you know, we have to kill this idea of there can only be one, and we have to fight each other.
Except for Foxy and Kim.
Right.
I mean, let's be honest. They've never gotten along. Let's just call it what it is.
It was never good.
But they were both from Brooklyn. There was a lot going. There was a lot.
That Brooklyn bullshit.
Yeah.
Right?
Maybe at one point they was cool.
Maybe for a minute.
I don't know what happened, but
Well, speaking of unity, can we talk about these beautiful white roses
oh, we gotta
and
talk
how
about
women are
these.
getting together
We gotta talk
in
about
support of the Time's Up movement?
these. Yeah.
Well, I think it's interesting. I want to say Karen Raitt, please step over.
Oh, wow.
Karen Raitt, whom I've known for more than 20 years.
Yes.
Right here.
In this business of music.
Yes. Hello, hello.
Ladies and gentlemen, this woman worked and helped promote The Chronic, Tupac Shakur.
Yes.
That's right.
True.
She was at Interscope Records when Tupac got his record deal, yes?
Pretty much. And now you're dating me. So
No,
can we not talk
no.
about where I was
I'm saluting you and
25,
celebrating.
7
I
when
want to
that
make sure
happened.
people understand the magnitude
Yeah, they need to know
of who
that.
you are.
Running around with the
been,
locks.
I've been here for a minute. Yes.
Run down some
Yeah.
Eminem. You
Eminem, the locks. The locks, 50. I mean, artists like Tupac, Snoop. A lot of
Kendrick
of rock.
Lamar.
Kendrick Lamar.
Nine Inch Nails.
9 Inch Nails. No doubt.
Limp Bizkit.
Limp Bizkit. No doubt. Marilyn Manson.
Marilyn Manson.
One of my favorites.
Well,
Yeah.
and another reason I wanted to do that is because in the music industry, you know, it's a very, how do I say, can be a very unprofessional environment at times, right? Where you are a person who works in an office, you work for a company,
True.
but you go to clubs and you go to video sets and you go to hotels and parties and late night parties and all of
the
these
job.
things.
It's the
right?
job.
Where craziness can happen.
Yes. Yes.
And here this year at the Grammys, to stand in solidarity with the Time's Up movement and Me Too, of women speaking out against sexual assault, right? Rape, and a lot of things that happen in the workplace, men abusing their power. I'm glad this is happening because we've talked on the air about how the conversations are going to go around the women who have been assaulted, harassed at a music video set, right? In a club, they're there to be a dancer for an artist, right? And so-and-so's drunk and something happens. Like, where's the, I guess, collection of women that a girl can call and be like, yo, I had an issue last night. I need help. I don't know who to talk to. And that's what you guys are forming pretty much.
Sure. I mean, you know, what happened was basically, just to get back to what we're calling ourselves Voices in Entertainment.
Okay.
And there's a few of us who just realized that there was no initiative at the Grammys this year, no activation like there was at the Golden Globes. And a lot of us were sitting at home and watching the Golden Globes and saw what Oprah did, and we were really inspired. I mean, that was unbelievable. In 3 weeks since the Golden Globes, they've just managed to inspire all these women. So we got together on Monday night, and what is it? It's Friday. And in that amount of time, we came up with this idea of the White Rose as sort of an activation at the Grammys and to show everybody support. Rapsody talks about the unity. That's what this is really about. We're all aware of, there are many, many issues. It's beyond the music business.
That's right.
It's a broad issue. It's a global
It's a social issue.
It's a social issue.
Yeah.
It's a cultural thing. We have to change the culture. Time's Up really is about equality in the workplace and safety in the workplace. And yes, like any industry, each industry has their own issues of not being safe. We live in a messed up world. It's not going to happen overnight. But I think the fact that if somebody has a problem and they feel like there's no place to turn, well, first of all, women should, you got to turn to your girlfriends and talk to them, because I believe, and I'm very blessed to have an amazing support system of incredible women that have always been there for me. I'm all about the mentorship and supporting other women coming up in this business or any other business. Time's Up there has a fund. It's a legal defense fund, and you can find it on the website, timesup.com. It's a GoFundMe, and you can apply for some legal aid. And there's a lot of people a lot of women, men that don't have access to these kinds of funds for legal aid. So if you're feeling like something is unsafe, or you're feeling like there is an issue and there's no equality, women's experiences in the workplace are just very different than men's. And in the music business, there's tons of women in the music business. And there's a lot of women across all different industries. Their experience, if you talk to the women, is very, very different than the male experience, And I just think we need, more women at that table. That's really, you want to be in the room where it happens.
Well, now we're seeing allegations against Russell Simmons, which are public, right? We've had conversations on this show just from our knowledge of being around and seeing things happen ourselves or hearing stories of the behavior of powerful men, rapper entourages, that this conversation for the music industry, was gonna happen. And when it happens, it's gonna be painful for some, a relief for others, necessary, we all know that, but interesting. And as you pointed out, a cultural change. I guess what I want to know, and for the audience watching this and listening, what is your advice to young women who want to be in this business, right? Because you do hear stories of women, right? Whether they were artists, right? Or as executives or photographers or makeup artists or dancers or whatever, choreographers that say, look, I was told that if I didn't do X, Y, Z, I'm not going to be able to work, or I'm not going to get the looks as someone else. Because this stuff is going to start being talked about.
Sure. Laura's been in this business for a number of years. She's a woman in media. She had to come up and go through.
She's talked about her experiences.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I'm sure that everybody in this room has known of somebody who's been harassed in some kind of way, to whatever degree it is.
And I think, Rapsody and Laura will agree, basically, as a woman, you really need to, you got to work harder. You have to speak louder. And you're always being scrutinized, I think. Yes, for the way you look and how you're carrying yourself, and the people get a lot of mixed messages. I think you just have to be true to yourself, and stay woke. Really, is what it is. Be out there. Just carry yourself with confidence, and know that you got this, and that you have to go with your heart and go with your instinct, and just go for it. really.
You're from the streets of New York. Like, people might be looking at you, they don't know that you're a Puerto Rican
I'm from
Jewish
Strong,
woman.
Strong Island,
Strong
actually.
Island,
Yeah.
But you ran around in New York City
I've been in
the
New York
80s.
for a while. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
You
Okay.
were-
Again, dating myself.
Wow.
Thank you very much. But yes.
And
no,
I know
I'm
your
proud.
husband. I know
I'm
your
proud
husband
of,
and
I'm
your
proud
daughter.
Of it. I'm proud
but
of
where
it.
I'm
Yes.
going
Yes.
is you've been around street culture
Absolutely.
for a long time.
Absolutely.
And I guess I want to know how you dealt with some of the things that you had to deal with in this business.
Look, you have to be really sharp, and this music business is the best, and I wouldn't, be in any other business. I love it. And I think all industries and, the world we live in right now, it can be tough for a woman to navigate through. So you really do have to have an incredible support system, and you've got to go to your women. You got to surround yourself with other strong women, and you just communicate. And if you're feeling a certain kind of way, like I said, I've had great friends and a great family. And if I felt something, I would discuss it. I've been super, super blessed. I haven't had that, that Me Too moment that people talk about. I'm not saying it doesn't happen, but
and it happens. So I mean,
well, I'm sure it happens.
It just hasn't happened to you.
Yeah, it hasn't happened to me. I'm not. I mean,
But you also cuss a motherfucker out too, though.
Oh,
like,
absolutely,
I've seen it happen
absolutely.
1,000 times.
I'm not. I think I've cussed you out a few times.
For
actually,
sure,
we've gotten into
absolutely.
it over the years.
Yeah.
But you know, Ebro, not to cut you off, but one thing that everybody, all the women in here can agree, right? As a woman, let me give you an example, right? There's times where, let's just say for me, an artist is inappropriate with me, right? I have to make sure that when I shut him down, I do it in a way where he's okay with it. Like, he's not uncomfortable.
So true.
Embarrassed
So
or
I
something.
don't ruin the relationship or the vibe in the room. Okay,
Because
so
men are pathetic. Let's just be totally clear.
Well, there was that time Rick Ross was up here, and I had to check him.
And
he
that's-
was trying to be cool, and I wasn't cool with it.
And there's plenty,
And that's on
like
video
Rosenberg
where he
has
kept
sat next to
petting
me
you, and
where
I was like,
he's
"Yo, why you
basically
keep
like,
petting her, son?"
But it happens. And as a woman, instead of, being faced with like, okay, so do I make a scene and do I curse him out and shut him down and possibly ruin the relationship of the artist? We have a show coming up in 2 months and then I'm going to make this a problem? Or do I just curb him and try to make it cool for everybody? When obviously I've just been, like, I'm a victim now because you came at me in a disrespectful manner, and it's happened over and over again. We have TT Torres here, and I feel like she woke up to be here this morning. It would be nice for her to come in and say a couple words because I know she's been through it, and we have these conversations within the music industry.
TT, take my seat. Go ahead.
Can I give a seat?
Yeah, go ahead.
I mean, we've all came up in the game, me and Laura, pretty much together, and we've all had this type of experience. When I first started in radio, I had someone tell me that he could not hire me because he would want to sleep with me.
Damn.
Straight out, because in this culture, it's like you deal with so much. It's a sex sells in this culture, and sometimes artists and people don't know boundaries, and they feel like everybody's okay with it. And to Laura's point, she's absolutely correct. We can't shut a person down as a man would, because then it would make that person feel uncomfortable,
Right.
and it will cause issues in the room.
But that's why, the Time's Up movement is so incredible, because we've all been in situations, and I know people have too, where it's like, okay, something really bad has happened to me. I don't have the money to get a lawyer.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to be the problematic person in a company. I don't want to be blackballed. So I think it's really amazing that there's an organization of all these powerful men and women getting together to fund this movement that can actually help somebody financially, which is sometimes the route that usually stops people from coming forward.
And also, too, it's not just about that. It's also being allowed a seat at the table. You know what I mean? When you look at how many senior executives are making those decisions at these labels, at these stations, at these, whatever industries, there's not a lot of women at the table calling those shots. And so this movement, that we started is about, hey, let us have a seat at the table. Let us be heard. Let us get paid equally, so it's bigger levels to the messaging.
Do you guys feel where you are in your career right now, you, TT, Laura, working your way up, Karen, and even Rapsody, right? Like, you guys are all very accomplished, right? Do you feel more empowered now that if you were confronted with or heard that somebody was confronted with, is there, for you guys, do you feel still that same fear of like, I don't want to say the wrong thing, or I don't want to?
No, it's different now. Yeah. I think it's different from now. I think now a woman can actually speak up. And I also think that a lot of men are actually thinking twice before getting loose.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. I know plenty of men that's like going through their minds like, did I do something inappropriate? Because sometimes they don't even realize it's inappropriate, because they're so used to acting a certain way. But I think because we've been through these experiences and we're a little bit older now, I kind of feel like we deal with it a little differently, and people deal with us a little bit differently now.
Sure. It's all about, again, it's all about that equality. So if I'm working with you and we're working together, we're coworkers, just respect the fact that I'm your coworker. It's not the time or the place for that. And I think now with all the support out there and women coming forward and saying, this is time's up. We want to just be treated equally in a workplace. We don't feel safe. We want to feel safe. That, there is a tactful way to speak to somebody about, how you're feeling. And you don't have to be rude about it, And I think it's all about the education process across all industries. Again, I mean, it's such a broad issue.
Hashtag time's up. Everybody wearing white roses. That's the
right.
movement, right? And I appreciate you guys not only for coming on the program, but also making sure that this was represented. I think that would have been a terrible look for our industry if at the Grammys, like, I'm sure people were going to say something on the microphone, but the image of everyone having something to unify and be a part of the movement is dope. So, was that you?
It was myself and my friend Meg Harkins, who works over at Rock Nation, and she came up with the white rose. And it stands for the white rose is a symbol of unity and resistance.
To answer your question, yes, Karen was the one.
Thank you.
Karen was the one that put the team of women together.
I called you a few friends. We had dinner. We talked.
We were all at a restaurant not too far from the radio station, and we formed like a real sisterhood. And I think that's so important in this music industry, is to really have a sisterhood, because you never know how you can help each other out in this business. And I walked away from that table not knowing a lot of those women in the room, being the youngest in the room, right, Karen? Just walked away feeling like, wow, like, I'm glad I got invited to be a part of this, because this is such an amazing experience. And now I can call Meg whenever I need something.
Yeah, it was great. It's very organic, and this is really coming from a group of women inside this industry, from booking agents to managers to radio to records, digital platforms, all this, who just said, we wanted to do something. We just want to stand in solidarity with all the women who started this 3 weeks ago with the Golden Globes. And we do. I think we've made lifelong friends now, in a lot of connections. So, we've women. When women get together, they can really do a lot of great stuff. Very good. And quickly.
And organize quickly, thoroughly.
Yes,
execute.
Yes.
T's across, I's dotted.
Exactly.
Rap, love you. Congratulations on the Grammy nomination, Karen.
Yes.
I love you most of the time.
Thank you.
Tell your husband and girl I say hello, TT. I love you most of the time. Laura, love you too. Give it up, you guys. Rock those white roses if you don't know.